our business there. Defensively, with their defense, with our offense, unique challenge with the players that they have. Minka Fitzpatrick in the back end, I think, is as good as anybody. The edge players that they have, very stout, tough, physical defense, experienced corners. So really have to make sure that we have a tight plan going into that. And then special teams, they've always done a nice job, really, in all the phases. So we've got our work cut out for us, but we're looking forward to the challenge. With that, I'll take any questions.
Obviously, losing Cam's a big blow to their defense. Is there can you quantify what it means to take a player like him out of their defense?
No, I don't think you can. I'm sure you don't replace him with one person. I think they have multiple guys. They added to their depth along the front in the offseason, so I think it'll be multiple guys. He's a great player. We've played against him many times. I got a ton of respect for him.
Smith kind of emerging to pair with TJ. Just the fact that those two guys are coming off the edge, how does that change maybe some of the things you can or try to do on offense?
Yeah, it's a challenge, and it's very similar to what we talk about with our defense. With Miles and Obo and Z. Anytime you can balance out a rush like that, it makes life really hard on an offense. And I think you saw last week with Watt getting 3 sacks in the game. Highsmith is always going to affect the game, pressuring the quarterback. So it's certainly a challenge, and you have to take that into account as you're designing your game plan, both run and pass game.
DeJuan Jones starting this game and having that challenge of going up against a TJ Watt.
Yeah, I think oftentimes you want to break it down to a one-on-one matchup, but the truth is it's our offense versus their defense, and certainly with the rushers that they have on the other side, you have to really look at it that way and say it's our scheme, it's our players. Certainly with DeJuan, he's going to get plenty of opportunities versus TJ Watt, who's a premier rusher in this league. So those are the competitive nature of our game. It does come down to one-on-one matchups at times. So I know he's going to work really hard this week to prepare himself.
Some things to clean up, but how impressed were you that he was able to just step in a situation where he was quickly on the field?
Yeah, and it's really, and every rookie is going to have, and veteran is going to have things that they have to clean up. So he's working very hard to do that. I think with a week of practice, with him getting every rep in there, I think will make a difference as well.
Was the Philadelphia practices a turning point for him? Because it seemed like he was promoted after that.
I don't know that I'd pinpoint it there necessarily, Tony. I think it's a body of work with all of our players. And Coach Callahan works hard with all of the players to make sure everyone's ready to go. In this case, DeJuan was the next man up, but I think all those guys have to be ready to go.
DeJuan's personality that makes you confident that he can handle like the big stage of Monday night, TJ Watt, first NFL start?
Yeah, I think it's important for all of our players to narrow your focus going into Monday Night Football, like you mentioned. I think you really have to focus on your job and doing your job. DeJuan's played at a high level in big games where he went to college. You're going to play in some big games, so he understands that. But you can't and he can't make this about just him. It's really about our offense versus their defense in that regard.
Go ahead, Mary Kay.
I was just going to ask about, Kenny Pickett, picked off twice, sacked 5 times, young quarterback, how do you expect him to rebound or respond from that kind of thing?
Yeah, that was a unique start to that game. It really got away from them early, so I think they, only rushing the ball 10 times. We don't expect that from them. So he's a very good player. We've played him. We know what he's capable of. Athletic, can make every throw, fits their scheme really well. So we have to make sure we have a good week of practice.
When Mike Tomlin had his press conference, he said the Browns begin and end with Mr. Chubb. So the balance that you guys have offensively, how is that going to help you on Monday night?
Well, I think every single game we look at it, Jeff, just what do we need to do to win the game, and how do we have to adjust to win the game? And that's how we put the game plan together. I don't think it's any secret what Mr. Chubb is a big part of our attack, a big part of what we do. So, but we feel really good about a bunch of the different guys.
Out of the 49ers, that they were able to have such success with McCaffrey running the ball against them.
Well, it's a very, very stout front. I know he had that long run. It was fitted up, just had a missed tackle, which happens with Christian McCaffrey, who's a great player. So to think that you're just going to automatically have success versus a really good front is not the case. You have to work really hard to put a plan together to be sound in what you're doing, and then it's really just a physical game when it comes to the run game in the AFC North. That's just what it's been and what it will always be.
Them in the passing game, number one, them not having Johnson, it looks like, but two, you guys have seen George Pickens make some big plays in this matchup, just how you can account for what they do there.
Yeah, he's very, very challenging, as you know, because you can have him covered and he comes down with the ball. He's a great 50-50 ball receiver. He's very good with the ball in his hands. I mean, he can catch and run, so we know what he's capable of, and he's not the only one. Great tight end. They have multiple guys, Allen Robinson, Ridley, or Calvin Austin, excuse me. They have guys that can touch the ball on the outside and go. So it's a really, you have to be very cognizant of all their players, not just one player, but Perkins is a great player.
Rookie minicamp, you only have 2 tackles, I believe, in camp, and so the reps were quick. Juwan Jones had difficulty and got a little testy about it and got in Callahan's face. How has that relationship evolved?
I don't remember that, Tony, if you say so. Yeah, every rookie has a different relationship with their coaches. We push them hard. DeJuan's been extremely open to every type of coaching. Coach Callahan, Coach DeCoster, Coach Peters, he works extra, has never shied away from working. So I can't characterize their relationship, but it's a one that is definitely predicated on the work.
Juan not practicing today. Is this a multi-week thing with him, or are you confident that he has a shot for Monday night?
Yeah, I would characterize it as day to day. We'll see how it goes tomorrow, really.
Back and watch the film of Deshaun. How much of his passing woes had to do with the rain, and then how much of it just had to do with he was off on a few things, and if so, what does he need to do better?
Well, I don't think you're going to make every throw in any game in perfect conditions, and those were tough conditions. So I think both teams saw that in the passing game, and I think that spoke to a lot of the lack of success that really both teams had in the pass game. Fortunately, we were able to make some plays in there, some explosive plays, which is really important. But as a quarterback, your focus always has to be on making the plays that are there, knowing that you're not going to make every single one. Just really trying to hone in on your decision making. So that's just a focus for all of our guys.
Deshaun's ability to extend plays and then make stuff happen downfield. When you're talking to him and coaching him, how do you balance that with, hey, we need to get the ball out of your hands in a hurry some plays because you don't want to get hit all the time?
Yeah, I think what you try to do with players that have Deshaun's skill set, you're always trying to make it work within the framework, and you're trying to take your drop and maybe make a plant throw or a hitch throw, and then sometimes guys are covered. So that's part of his ability, is to go off schedule and make a play when it's not there. We work hard to get guys open. Doesn't always happen. So as you get through your progression, there is a timing element that tells you it's time to either get the ball out or start moving in the pocket, start trying to find a scramble drill. So that's something that's innate to what he has, that's innate to who he is, and it's certainly a big part of our offense as well.
You mentioned that AVP had added that draw play on Saturday. Was it already in the playbook, or was that a modified version of something else you guys have run?
Yeah, already in the playbook, but that was a Saturday morning, me and AVP over coffee discussion. And and that's what happens in this game. Sometimes you get through the week and you feel like you need one more play, and I don't love to install plays that late in the week. I'm very, very careful not to do that with the players a lot of times, so that's rare that we do that, but we just felt like there was something there. May happen this week, may not.
You talked a lot about wanting to create a home field advantage, and the record shows that you're doing it. But what do you think about Pittsburgh's home field advantage? Is that the toughest place to play?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that. I've played in a lot of them, Tony. They're all tough. I think when you go on the road, going into any stadium that is full, it can be a huge challenge. And really, that's the big thing, and we talk about it at our place, is crowd noise, and having to deal with crowd noise and function in crowd noise, and be able to do a great job communicating on the sideline, in the huddle, at the line of scrimmage, through the crowd noise. So, every time you're playing on the road, it feels like that's a huge challenge.
Given that the tackles have trouble there at DeJuan Jones? What kind of special training can you do other than piping music in?
Well, of course, we'll use crowd noise. We always do when we're playing on the road. That's something that we've been working really all off season with the offensive line, and that's just again part of your road operation is using that silent count, and you're right. The tackles, the tight ends, everybody has to lock into that.
The Steelers are 20-0 in their last 20 Monday night games at home. Is that something that you guys keep in the back of your head, or something that you just kind of have to drown out and forget about?
Yeah, it's really not something that affects us this week, us going into this game. We really have to narrow our focus and really worry about doing your job on every given play.
The two deep throws to Marquise, how much of those kind of coming up short were like those two just not being on the same page because they haven't been together, the weather? I mean, what were some of the factors?
Yeah, I think the first one was absolutely a heavy, wet ball that's hard to drive. The second one is versus a blitz and a coverage that you have to get the ball launched quickly, and you're going to get hit when you throw it, and probably didn't put it exactly where we wanted. But again, that if he does, that's a plus play by the quarterback versus cover zero.
Like, even though those didn't hit, does that give you confidence that those explosives are going to be there?
Without a doubt. And I think, again, it goes back to those opportunities are going to be there in certain games. Sometimes they're there a lot. Sometimes you're not going to find them, and you have to find places to go with the ball that maybe you wanted to throw the shot, but it's not there. And that's part of playing quarterback, is having the discipline when it's not there to check it down. And when it is there, you let it rip and you trust in your guys.
A little cramp for Amari there. He went down there just for a moment, first half.
Yeah, he's good.
With the wide receivers and Deshaun, like, just how have you seen, especially this week following game one, just kind of grow their communication, specifically talking about what they saw in that game leading into this week?
Yeah, I think that happens week to week. You try to grow what you do, and you learn from things that happen in week one and taking it to week two. You should do that week 2 to week 3 as well. There's a lot of communication that has to take place when you're talking about the quarterback and the guys that are catching the ball. So that's running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, constant dialogue in terms of how guys come out of routes, where the ball is going to be. So that's always ongoing.
You're taking the basketball away from Miles, but he's still trying to live out his hoop dreams out there. What do you think of his crossover dribble?
It's funny, when Jim made that call, my eyes went right to Miles, knowing where he was going to be rushing. So I saw it right away. And listen, whatever it takes, he can go around the back next time if he wants.
Good.
Okay, thanks, guys.